So I've just said that Git is the most widely used version control system, meaning that we have others, and also we have the collaborative stuff sites like Google Colab and Slack and many others. But Git and GitHub, I think these are the most popular ones, and these are the ones that we are going to learn today. So um, now I will be interacting mostly with command line, and the command line is the command line. This is the interface for text commands. I think people usually confuse between the command line tool and the code editors. So a command line tool, this is where you write your text commands. Commands like, for example, you can use a command to, for example, to create a directory. Now, when I say directory, I mean a folder in this context of GitHub. When I say directory, I mean a folder. A folder, that's a directory. And then when I say command line, that is the terminal or the interface for writing the text commands. And then I will show you how to use this command line just in a few, and then some other things that we are going to talk about as we proceed. So the first thing we need to have Git in your system. Now, if you are on Mac or if you are on a Ubuntu operating system, it usually comes with a Git. So you won't have to either install or do other stuff. It usually come, you don't have to stream. But if you are on PC, then you can go to, by there you can as well download for those system if it's not available. This is just an assumption that it usually come with in your operating system. However, you can go to Git download. Just search for Git download. Git download, something like that. And then at this first website, this is the logo for Git. So when you see this logo, just click on download, and then you can download for your operating system. You can see it's available on Mac operating system, Windows, and Linux. So I've just uninstalled. I think I uninstalled so that I think I can try to explain well on how you can install, because I'm assuming I remember we had a discussion last time, but because we have new people in the group and perhaps others didn't get it, we are trying to repeat it afresh from scratch. Now, if you are on Windows, I think at 10 and above, you can use 64 bits, 64 bits for Windows. And then let me just download it. Now, to work with Git, you need to download it into your operating system. And I don't know why the network today is a bit slow. Alright, it's always slow, but let's give it some seconds so that it can finish to download Git. As you download, let me try to talk about something, the command line. The command line, I say that this is where you write your text commands. For instance, we have many other command lines like about what is it called, the these command prompt. We have command prompt. We have PowerShell. I think this is for PC, Windows operating system. But we have many other terminals. Like for Anaconda, we have Conda, the command line Conda. And then for Git, we also have a Git bash. And then you also saw we have the command line for even MySQL. We have many command line tools or terminals. So once again, to remind you, I say that the command line is the interface to write text commands. So for instance, if you want to check a certain thing, or maybe to change to navigate to a directory, like for instance, you can say I have some folder here in my file explorer. I have a desktop documents and these other stuffs. Now, for instance, if I want to navigate to desktop other than using this double clicking and going to this one, you can as well use the command line maybe to navigate. So, for example, you can use CD. This is the command to change directory. CD stands for change directory. You can say CD and then desktop. You will see that it will navigate to desktop. Desktop. Sometimes when I talk and type desktop, desktop. I think that's the spelling. So you can see now I'm now in the desktop. Now alternatively could be, for example, if you are on this maybe you want to open the the terminal in this directory, you can just do it. You can click here, then I type here cmd. So you can see also it takes you to this is download. I was to use desktop. So let me try that cmd. You can see it opens here, but you can already do the cd and then it will navigate to this part. Now for example, if you want to open Visual Studio Code, you can already use the command line like this uh, what command prompt, and also PowerShell. I'm going to show you in a few as I wait for that thing to download. I don't know if it has finished. So basically that's how you download the Git, and then to install this the process. And there's the process. So just click next, next. Because for me I've just uninstalled now. There was a folder called Git, and so it's trying um, to replace it and all that. And then I just leave everything by default. And in case I'm not, I don't know. In case I'm not audible, you can just because I can't access the Google Meet the other side, you can just call me. Okay? You can just call me in case my internet drops, because I'm assuming that I'm present in the meet, but it can drop and I'm not aware. So instead of going further alone, you will just inform me the other side. So let me just click next, next, next. Yeah, also installing is a very crucial thing. Someone might not understand maybe how to install. That's why I'm trying as much as I can to cover every aspect, So
Nehemiah,
yes, please.
what, which one did you choose when you are downloading? Because I'm seeing there are four.
Four kind of let me
Yeah, the standalone installer and.
basically I use the standalone installer. This
Mm,
standalone installer, and because my system supports 64-bit, I'm using the 64-bit here. So this one will come as a setup so that I just run it direct.
okay.
Yeah, great. So and then these steps, they are just straightforward. Next, next. Then just go next, and then here you can choose to enable experimental support for pseudo console and all that. But for me, let me just click install, and then again I'll wait for another year to finish installing. So basically, when you install Git, it will come with its command line called git bash. And as I said that I'm repeating, I think at the fourth time, the command line is the interface for text command. I'm trying to repeat as much as I can so that I may familiarize with these concepts. So the command line is the interface for writing your text commands. This not for example, if you want to write comprehensive maybe detailed stuff. For example, if you are writing codes for a software, you won't be using the command line. You use the IDEs or the code editors. And I see that a code editor, this is the word processor for writing the codes. So basically, once you do all that, and then you see this interface. For example, when you launch the Git version, you see this window. And then this is what we call the command line, the Git bash, command line. Now, how do you check that you have Git in your system? You just do Git and then a dash dash version. And I remember it is optional to choose a git bash, because all command line tools, they just work the same. Now when I hit enter, you can see it gives me the version of git that I'm using. Now the same when I use something like a command prompt or a PowerShell, it will give me the same results. So they are just the same. It's just for you to choose which one to use. So here, let me again try to type here a git, then a dash dash version. A dash dash version. Then you can see it gives me the other one gave me what 2.43. You can see also this one gives me 2.43. And if I were to use something like PowerShell, it is still a command line or a terminal. So when I write here, let me wait for it to. So when I write here git, are you able to see? Let me try to zoom in. I don't know why it's failing to zoom in, but I believe you can see git, then a dash dash version. Git dash dash version. You can see it gives me the same result, and that's why I say that it is optional to choose which command line to use, because all of them, they just do the same thing. They are both a command line tool or a place where you can write your git command. So there are commands here, or there are commands that git usually have. I don't know if I can try to discuss in a few, because before we go deeper into it, perhaps if I can try to highlight the basics, some of the git commands that they are most often used. And by the way, in case you want to find all these commands, you can always do the git help, git, and then a dash dash help. It will list for you. Hey, this is too much. I don't know which one will display well. Let me try to use a command prompt. By there, for me, I like working with command prompt. Let me say git dash dash help. So you can see when you do the git dash dash help, you'll see all the commands available at git. In git, you can see we have a git clone, init, add, mv, restore, rm. Perhaps let me try to touch on each before we even begin, because I want to go first of all to show you how you can create an account on Git, and also I'll show you how to use a code editor for like a GitHub. Not GitHub, that's Visual Studio Code. I'll show you how to set up a Visual Studio Code later. But let me try to talk about the most used Git commands here. So the first one is a clone. Now, a clone, when you clone something, just like how the name suggests, clone is like to make a copy of something, or a duplicate version of something, to make something similar, to replicate something. So clone, when you use a git clone, this one will bring a repository. Remember when I said that when I say repository, this is like a storage for your project, a storage for your project. Just like you can have a folder to store your files, a repository in this context, it means, a storage, or maybe a storage for your project. I think that's the best term to use. So when you do git clone, this one will bring a repository, like that storage, or that um, um, that storage. Let me use that word. So when you do git clone, this is like to bring a repository that is hosted somewhere, like let's say GitHub, into your folder on your local machine, like on your Windows or on your Mac OS. And then we also have another command called git status. I'm trying to go in that flow, so that because of course, we have this init. This init now. This one is to initialize a new repository. But let me talk about status first of all. Now, git status This shows files added, 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 or updated, or are deleted, and haven't been saved, And sometimes you might also have untracked file. It will display untracked file. These are the, you know, this will mean that a Git doesn't recognize the file. For example, if you add a new file and then I try to do the Git status, you'll see that that file, if it's not committed, it will display like untracked file source. That's all about Git. And then, for example, if you want to include that untracked file into Git, you can do the Git add. Now, when you do the Git add, then the file name, it will track that file name only. But if you do the Git add, then you add a period here at the end. I'm going to show you everything in practical, but I'm trying to give you an overview. But we are going to do it practically, so don't worry. And then now commit is to save in Git. Git commit, this is to save your files. Now we began by cloning a repository, or maybe to initialize a repository, and then I will check the status of the files there. And then for example, if you added a new file and you want to include it, you use the git add, and then on the file name, or maybe if you want to include all the untracked file, you do the git add, then a period at the end, then it will track all the files. And then to save the files that have been tracked, you can do the git commit. So git commit saves your file. Commit saves your file to commit saves your file to what? To your basically commit saves your file and the changes in Git, in Git. And then I will have a Git push. Now, if you want to upload now the files that you have in your local storage, if you want to push it on GitHub, if you want to upload on GitHub, you use the Git push. So this one uploads Git commits, uploads the saved. Remember when you just add the new files and you add them, and then you try to push, it won't push the file that you added until you do the git commit. I said that a commit is like to save the files, you know, uh, to save the files. Then when you do the git push, this one is to upload the git commits into a remote repo. When I say repo, I mean repository, just a short version of repository. A repository, I said, is like the archive, or maybe the the storage for your project, the storage for your project online there. So so this is about the git push. I'll show you everything, and then at the pull is just the opposite of git push. Now this one is to download, the other one was to upload git commits, but now this is to, when you do the git pull, this is to download now the changes from a remote repo to your local machine. So I don't think if I'll try to explain in orally, I don't think I'll make sense. Let me try to do these things practically. But before anything, you need to have an account, because you can't push it anywhere. You need to have an account on Git. So I'm trying to create a new account. I want to show you how to create an account. So to create an account, go to GitHub. Git. By there, I have WhatsApp here. I think I'll be pasting in the group. So, or maybe someone else can be pasting the commands there, so that someone, in case missed the spellings, can do it. Can just track the changes. So here, let me just say GitHub website, GitHub. Or maybe someone can try to help me do that. Can someone help me do that? Try these URLs. Like for example, you saw earlier, like was it Lauren had an issue with the exact file. So when you write there the URL, it will be much easier for someone maybe to check on that. So this is the site for GitHub. And I say that GitHub, this is the website to host your project. Now, when it is in GitHub, it's called a repository. When it is in your local machine, it's called a directory or a folder, a project in your in your local machine. So I'm assuming that I don't have an account. I want to create an account. So to create an account, a new account, you click on sign up. You can do that.
Or I don't know even if it's an issue with my maybe the way this Windows was installed, because before it was working well. You see, when I click on the command prompt, it's telling me C. It's directing me to C, and then on users and then user, right?
Yes, yes.
Come to my local machine.
Yes,
I
yes.
have the users here, but I don't have the user. So when I try to change the directory, let's say desktop, you see desktop. It will not give me, like, the system cannot find the path specified. So
can you try to do because you saw like on mine it was I think it was name tag. That's just a user that is assigned to you. For example, if you didn't say it, like for example, mine was users, then name tag or something like that. Now on your end is users, then a user instead of your name. Perhaps it picked user. Maybe if you didn't change. So if you can try maybe to rewrite cd and then I begin with a capital D. I don't know if it's case sensitive, but I try to do CD and then I begin with D capital because I think the folder is desktop, though I'm not sure if it's case sensitive. Then a desktop, it begins desktop. Yeah.
No, the issue is because
Yes.
I'm trying to check on another PC, right?
Oh.
Looking at my directory,
Yes,
you
yes.
see, it's directing me. It's supposed to direct me to local disk C, right?
Yes, yes,
Direct
yes.
me to the user, and
Yes.
then in the users there should be a user here, whereby
Oh.
now you find the desktop and all those like is it shortcuts for the programs that are maybe installed on my PC.
Oh, I think I'm not a fan of Windows. Is this Windows 11?
This is Windows 11. I'm also trying it out for the
Yeah,
first time.
I'm not a fan of Windows 11. I can't help that much, but I think there's a way. Or maybe you can try to go to maybe desktop on this directory. Go to your desktop, just your folder called desktop on your file explorer.
Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe in the sure. Just there, click on it, double click. Then there the path. Try to do the what?
CD.
CMD.
CMD.
To open the command prompt.
It will not.
It failed.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Oh. Yeah, try to do CD then a two hyphens, maybe to check if it can work. Two periods, CD and then a two periods.
CMD.
CD is to change directory. CMD is the command prompt.
Change directory to
CD, then a two
like that.
two period, use period.
What is period? How do I use that?
It's called what? Full stop. Is it full stop?
Oh,
yeah.
Like that.
Create a space first of all before you do that. Now, when you use that too, it's like to go back, and then CD, then the file name is to go forward. So that way, I think it will return you to C, the root directory. Try to hit enter and see. Yeah, so that one.
So it will just take me back to C.
Yeah, so when you try again to do CD, delete that hyphen. Is it deletable?
No.
So try to do CD then desktop.
Desktop. Yeah.
It takes you.
That one is directing me. Now, let's say like I want maybe to use another like the Anaconda one. Let's say I want to use the Anaconda prompt.
Yes.
Give me. You see, it's taking me to user.
Yes.
Let's say I want to change the directory to desktop.
I think what you'll do, because we realize that it's not in that directory, what you do, try to do to CD back, CD then two periods. It takes you to user then.
CD.
Then 2 periods. Again, a
to
CD.
take me to then CD to desktop. User.
And then from there you can navigate now to desktop.
Without
now say CD,
CD.
CD desktop. Yeah, CD desktop.
CD.
Desktop. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it can take you. And then the other thing with the command line, I said that you can as well create maybe directory. Directory, these are like the folders. Now to create a directory, you can do the make it is try to type this command mk mkd dir
D again.
dir mkdir and then a space, then the folder name. For example, if you want to create a folder in the desktop, maybe let's say something like a test or anything, just create something. Yeah, and then when you hit enter, when you navigate now, try to cd to test, you'll find out that you have a folder called it will take you to test. So with the command line you can navigate to project.
Yeah. Now when I go to my desktop,
Yes.
I can my desktop is so full, so I'll find it somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now I see how to deal with it. I think it was an issue with maybe the installation. But anyway, now I think I get the solution. Thank you.
So as I said that Visual Studio Code supports, so I think I can repeat. I said that to get Visual Studio Code, you go to your search bar on whichever browser, then just search for Visual Studio Code download. And then I see that we have two versions of Visual Studio. We have the Visual Studio, they are both for Microsoft, but I will have the Visual Studio and then I will have Visual Studio Code. So when you want to download, ensure that you download this one. You download this one there that has this logo, Visual Studio. This is the logo, official logo for Visual Studio Code. And then from here, you can select your operating system. For Windows, you can just click here for Windows 10 and 11. It will automatically select the 64-bit.
I can speak, right?
Yeah, sure.
Now, after downloading, setting up all these, how about we said, okay, I know we might have to do projects, right, for our repositories. Now, my monkey point of view is we have people from, let's say, different backgrounds, let's say health sciences, finance, geography, history, etc. How about we can try and do projects that align with, let's say, what we've done. For example, if I'm in the finance field, I mean, personally, if we do projects that are, let's say, in the banking, stock market projects that will go into our repositories, don't you think that will increase our, let's say, employability, and also because we have what is called, domain knowledge. So it will be easier for us to just do that. Instead of, let's say, you are in history or humanities, and you go and do something to do with, let's say, sales or Netflix, etc. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So in short, I don't think Git is for only developers. You can as well do, for example, you are in different field because it supports you can push even the files, the photos, and all that to your repository. So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to give you a general walkthrough on what applies on all different sectors, so that you can use that knowledge, because it's not different from any other. Like if you have the skills on how maybe to push, it's just the same on how you can push the softwares, and at the same way you can push maybe your your other projects to Git. So when you want to push, you ensure that you push things that are in your docket. So don't force to create to create a repository for stuffs which are not related in your domain. Because here, we have software engineers, we have data scientists, analysts, and other different departments or sectors. So, but the commands, they are just the same, and that's, I think, what I'm going to share with you today. But when you push, ensure that you push what you have on your end. So just a minute, guys. I don't know. I think it's. Or did I answer you? Sorry.
Yes, you did actually. Thank you very much.
Okay. So I was talking about the Visual Studio. I think let me just finish this thing so that when you go to GitHub, we'll do everything there. So to create autosave file, now to download the Visual Studio Code, I think you understand, and when you set up, I think you'll have this kind of an interface. Perhaps you might receive some release notes here or something like that, but that thing for me I disabled because it was disturbing. But I usually have some text here. But this is the interface for Visual Studio Code. We have the tabs here at the top, and then I will have some extensions here. Some tabs here as well, the icons. This is for Explorer, for example. This is for maybe search. This is for version control. This is for debugging. Then, for example, if you want to install other extension, you can do that. For example, if you are into Python, you can do the maybe Python debugger is like a plugin to install plugin, something like that. So this way you can do that, and I think you at your comfort, at your convenience, you can try to explore this thing, because I don't think this was in the scope, because I want to handle VS, Git. So basically, this is the thing, and of course today I'm going to use a Git. I'm going to use Git, and I said that in our previous session, I said that you can as well, Visual Studio Code usually have the embedded terminals. So here at the tab, when you click on this ellipse, you'll see that you have the terminal. You can create a new terminal, and I don't know, sometimes your computer might be zoomed out. You'll see this the hamburger menu here. When you click on it, it will show you other files, and then you can create a new files. But when it is zoomed out, it will display what those are, those tabs here at the top. So to access the embedded terminal, again, you go to the ellipse, go to terminal, then a new terminal, and then you'll access the terminal, and by default it opens the PowerShell, but you can as well click on this drop down, and then you can change the terminal. Remember, all of them, they just do the same thing, like you have PowerShell, Git bash, command prompt, and many other terminals you might have on your end. But remember, the same works. Perhaps if I just want to confirm to you that they are all the same, let me do the Git version. This is what I'm using PowerShell. It is displaying PowerShell. So you can see it gives me the version still on PowerShell. When I change here to Bash, then again I do the Git version, you can see it will still do it, give me the version. When I do the other ones, it will still give me the version. So I think those are the basics, and we will return back to these ones, this Visual Studio Code, when we'll be writing the codes. But now let me go to GitHub and I'll show you, for example, how to create repositories and all that. Now, when you just create an account, I don't know which interface it will display on your end, but I think it will be something like this. And if you want to create a new repository, and I say that a repository is like the storage for your projects, a repository. So you'll always find something called a repository written somewhere. I don't know where it will be, or you can see this plus. If it will not be displayed somewhere, you'll see that it is something like a plus. When you click on the drop down, you can create a new repository. And so either ways you'll find something called a repository. Just click on it, and then if you have other projects, it will be displayed here. So now to create a new one, you can click here to create a new repository, or you can click on the plus and then create a new repository. So either ways it will create a new repository. I want us to interact with the GUI, and then I shall go to the code. Now to create a repository, let me use something like a test. I think we try to talk about because I saw a test folder or a repository in the other end. I think we had a discussion last time. So this time let me use something like a test2, something like that. And then a description. Also, I'll show you how to create these things via the commands. But here it's optional. Let me leave it. Then the public, I can leave it by default. And by the way, if you are not working on something that is open source, you can make it private. For example, if it's just for your organization, you can make it private so that it may not be accessed in the public space. So public, this one is open to anyone. Like for example, if you just search Nametech, you'll find those are files, those are repositories that you can just clone them into operating system and make it yours. So and then for public one, this one is an open source. Then at the private, this one is, for example, your personal project or your organization. The goodness of pushing your projects into Git, sometimes your computer might crash, or maybe something can happen. And I'm not praying it happens, but always is a good idea to push something online, or maybe on Git, so that you can always clone back. You can have those projects into your system back once you've uploaded. So I'm going to with the a public option, and then we have another feature here called a readme file. And I'll talk about this thing in details perhaps later. But in a few, let me try to show you, for example, how to create a readme. A readme is always written as a markdown, and I'm going to talk about markdowns in a few. Let me try to click on add. Let me click on this add markdown, and then let me first of all click on create a repository, and then I'll try to create content for that markdown. Just in a few, when I try to create to push a file. So this is the markdown. Let me try to click on it. Now a markdown, this is like your text formatting. For example, you have a project there, and then I want to add some detailed description. Now I don't know which example I'll use, because for me, I don't push my projects most of the time in Git, but I think I'll have time to push that. So let me show you. You can always edit. For example, I'll show you via command and also via this GUI, the website. So let me try to edit. Now, if you want to make a text like capital, or to make it a header, use the hash. Hash is a command maybe to make something like the main header. Like those who have some basic knowledge on HTML, you have heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, and all that. So likewise here, you can have the hash. Single hash stand for the greatest heading. How can I put it? Is it greatest or the largest? The largest heading. Largest heading, something like that. Now the list, or maybe the one that follows it, is two hash, two hash. Then you can say maybe heading 2. I'll show you some basic things about formatting on this MD, so that this is something that can be descriptive, so that when the users visit your repository, can have a detailed overview of what it entails. So heading maybe 2, and all that, it goes to 4. Let me try to commit and show you the difference. You'll see that this one, it will be greatest, and then this one will be list, because it has 2. Let me try 3 so that we may compare both. Heading 3. I'll show you also how to make something italic. Let me try to just commit changes without doing anything. Now initially, perhaps it was create readme, but now when you do a change, it will automatically give you a placeholder to like the update, but you can always rename. Let me just use the optional stuff. So let me save, and then now you can see this is greatest heading list, and then it goes in that hierarchy. Now another thing, for example, if you want to make something italic, a text italic, let me do this. If you want to make a text italic, you use asterisk. You use what asterisk, and then let's say, let me just say italic. Italic is like to make a text slant, like that. Or maybe you can as well do this. You can as well, let me say, or you begin with an underscore, then let me say italic. I'm using italic as you can use anything, not a mass italic. You can use your word, but it doesn't mean that you have to write italic for it to work. But now when I save, you'll see that it will have it will be italicized. But now let me try to talk about something so that when I make a commit, it will do everything at once, and I will finish that segment and I'll go to the next thing. Now let me talk about the list as well in this MD. MD stands for Markdown. So this is like a descriptive something, or a descriptive documentation of your project, as I said earlier. Now, before I think that there's the next thing that I should follow here on formatting or emphasizing is a bold. For example, you want to make a text bold. You don't want to make it a heading or any other thing. It's just a paragraph, but you want to make it bold. What you do, you use two asterisk. Remember, single asterisk will make it italic, but when you use two asterisk, I don't know if you can see. Are you guys able to see what I'm displaying here? Because for me, I'm in the computer, but I can't see well. I don't know on your end.
You can, yes.
Okay. So when you want to make a text bold, you use two asterisk to make it bold. It will be bold. And then now we shall display everything at once, because I don't want to do commits all the time, because it might also waste time. So this is how you can make a text bold. And then the other thing, for example, if you want to make a list. So a list, you can just define, let me just write here. Or by there, let me just give it some titles. So let me say headings. Then here, let me say emphasis. Then here you can say lists. Let me talk about the list. We have two types of lists. We have the ordered list. The ordered list is like the one that has Romans, for example, 1, 2, 3, or Roman 1, Roman 2, or ABCD. Those are called ordered lists. And the unordered list, the one that can use something like the bullets, the asterisk, those things which are not numbered. So for example, unordered list, you just use the hyphen, then I say, for example, item 1, then let's say item 2, and then you can as well create a sub item. So let me create a sub item. Under item 3, you can say sub item maybe 3.1 and such. You can say again sub item item what 3.2 and all that. So this is what we call the let me write here unordered. I think guys you're finding it helpful. I don't know if we should go straight away to the commands, or these things are helpful. And then we have, let me try to finish this thing, then I'll go to that one. Let me say ordered lists. Ordered lists are the ones that I use. For example, 1, let me say 1, or then this one, let me say 2 and all that. So this is the ordered list. Let me say ordered list. So these are the things that we'll be writing on code on the other side, on Visual Studio Code or any other editor. So so that's how you can do. Also, you can create a sub item by doing this, and then let me say 2 maybe point 2, and then let me say 1, and then let me say hello or something, anything there. You can, this is how you can create as the sub list, sub items, categories and all that. So this is maybe to make the list ordered or unordered. And then now, for example, if you want to make let me talk about, I think this is very, very important. Let me talk about the links. Let me talk about the links. For example, you want to embed a link here. What you do with the links, let me type here links. Now for links, if you want to create a link, you begin with the square. This is what the square bracket, sorry. You begin with the square bracket. And then also the first parameter, the first argument will be the link text. Link text. The link text. So the link text, so this is the text that will be displayed, and then followed by the link itself. And by the way, guys, if you are defining your links, always ensure that it has this this extension HTTPS. And then perhaps let me try to talk about this thing in a few, because I think this is most important. So as you will always be adding the links, always ensure that you add this extension, because when you have a site, I know most sites, like in fact the University of Nairobi, they don't have the redirect rule for their site. Like for example, if you type the HTTP and the HTTPS, there's no redirect. Like when you type the HTTP, it can't redirect you automatic to HTTPS. I'll show you in a few. And the reason on why you should do this, because some sites are phishing. When you go to a site that doesn't have the SSL certificate, it will not have this S here at the end, and it means that this is a URL. Let me just try to make this thing clearer to make sense. A URL is a uniform resource locator, and this HTTPS stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Now, let's say you are a user, you want to access a certain resource. For example, you are at NameTech, you want to access maybe a courses page. When you click on that link, or maybe on that tab, let's say courses page, basically the request will be sent in the server. And then at the server side language will process that request, and then we'll look for a relevant resource or a template or maybe anything or images or the page. Then it will return it to the user, maybe as a page or maybe as a file or anything. So that communication, if it doesn't have S, it means it is not secured. For example, or maybe you are trying to fill in a form, and then when you submit, that site doesn't have the S here at the end. It means that communication is not secured. So in the process, someone can easily access your information. Let me show you an example. I think that the University of Nairobi is the best example. Most public institutions, their sites are not that good. For example, let me use a University of Nairobi. So let me say UONBI. That I'm not saying that I'm a hacker, but this site is not secured. This is a university. Now you can see when you just write this one, it has this padlock here at the top. But then let me just try to show you something. When you see a site that has a padlock, it means that they have a valid SSL certificate. When you click on this padlock, you can see the connection is secured, and you can always check on the SSL certificates. Let me click on it, and then you can see a certificate is valid. When you click on it, you can get information about the certification of that SSL. So it means that this site seems to be secured. But I say that I inspected this site, and it doesn't have the redirect rule for both HTTP and HTTPS. Now, when you submit your request, or maybe something resource, when you request a resource on any site that it has this padlock or it has the S, let me do this. I don't know how you can. Let me try to copy and paste it somewhere. Let me paste it here, and this is a new link. So you can see here it has the S here at the top. It has S. It means that the connection here, it is secured. The communication is secured. But now again, when I try to do this, let me try to do HTTP, and then I remove that S, and then / and then UO, let me say UONBI. Then when I hit enter, you can see this site doesn't have the redirect rule. It is displaying here that the site is not secured. So when you submit your your request or any information under this site, it means that your file are not encrypted end to end or maybe back to back. So someone can easily hack can hack this system or maybe can hack your information when you submit your request under the unsecured unsecured site. So you can see like now when I go to any other page, it will still display what these are not secure thing here because it's using, you can see here it says that the connection to this site is not secured. So this University of Nairobi, they don't have the redirect rule so that it may convert the HTTP to HTTPS, though they have the valid SSL certificate. But this should be a warning. For example, if you want to you are going to a site and it doesn't have the SSL certificate or I display something like this, please don't provide your information there in that site because someone can use that site to fetch your information and also maybe to hack you. You can't submit sensitive information on a site that doesn't have the SSL. So that's why I was talking about when you are adding a link, always ensure that you specify the S because not all sites will have the redirect rule to redirect you to the secured site. So you have to ensure that you add in the S so that when a user uses your site, it doesn't what it will not for example, if you submit your request under this unsecure connection, it means that your information is not safe. So always ensure that when you are defining the links, ensure that you add in this S, and always don't visit sites that doesn't have the SSL certificate. It can be a phishing. I don't mean to say that all site that lacks the S is a phishing site, but I'm trying to mean that that site is not secured and the information is not secured. I think at Nemtech, at one time I'll show you networking or maybe some basic hacking, ethical hacking, some basic. But at the moment, let me talk about something else. Let me also show you how you can add in the image at the Markdown. So to add an image, use the exclamation and then the alternative text for the image. ALT. Sometimes you can have images, but at that site or maybe the place where that image is located, maybe that image is deleted. Now, when you add in an alternative text, it will make someone understand that this text was this image was maybe this one. So use something descriptive for the image. So this will be alternative text for your image, then followed by the path for your image. Always should be inside the parentheses, and then the image can be some. Let me just use here a placeholder. Let me just say image.png. Ensure that you use a valid path to your image. So, for example, your image is in Drive. You ensure that you paste the full path here. But I'm just using this one as an example because it won't work because it's not there. Now, for example, if you've uploaded your images in the GitHub, you can copy that part. It will be displayed here at the top, and then I just paste it there. So this is about the images, and then for example, if I want to display the codes, and I think that this also can be interesting. Let me say code. So for example, if you want to display a code, you want to tell viewers that this part is a code or maybe this code that has an issue. So you, for Markdown, you'll use the backtick. I don't know if you can see. Let me try again to zoom in further. The backtick is this thing. The backtick, then let's say code. Let me just say code. These are a single line, code, code. And then this is inline code. And then, for example, if you have several codes, like a Python code, many code, like let's say, if you have multi-line code, if you want to use a Markdown, use 3 backtick. Then you can define perhaps your language, like let's say Python. Then let me type here something, a Python, simple Python code like x equals to, and not equals, but then when you use these operators in Python, you are not equating, you are assigning. You are assigning this 20 to x, you are not equating. And then I think we shall talk about Python just in the next year, few days from now. Then a while, let's say something like 30, then let's say print z. I should have added here Z to be something like X. And by the way, Python is case sensitive. I know we shall learn about Python later. When you use capital X and small x, they are two different entities. So let me say Z, and then you close your code block or your code blocks with this backtick. Again, 3 backticks. You begin with what? With 2, 3 backticks, then the language of the code, and then the code itself, and then you close with the backticks. And then, for example, sometimes you want to create a horizontal line on your markdown. For example, you just want to add in the horizontal line. Let me just type here horizontal line. Horizontal line, you'll use this thing. They're called what? Hyphens to create a horizontal line. Now to create a table, let me just type here table. You'll use the pipe. It's called pipe, but it's a vertical line on your keyboard. This thing is called a pipe. Then let's say header. Let's say header 1. Then again another pipe to separate headers or columns. Then let's say header 2. And then you can do what? You can add in the closing pipe, and then again begin with that pipe, and then let's say maybe you want to add in a separator, like let's just say add in this separator here, and again let's add in the pipe, and then separator, sorry, yeah, separator like that. And then for example, let's say you want to add in the cell, you want to add in what, maybe cell 1 or a record 1, or let me just say cell 1, and then the pipe, and then maybe cell 2, and then this thing. Before we get to code, I think a markdown is also important to understand that. So I think there are a lot, and we have a lot to cover. I don't think also if we shall finish today, but let's try to do this. Let's try to save this one and see how it will be displayed. So let me commit change, then it's still updating, commit change, and let's see the display in the front end. So you can see greatest heading. Now you can see I said that emphasis, I should have used the line break here to separate, but you can see now this text is italicized. Let me try to zoom in. It is italicized. Also this one is italicized. So you can either use asterisk. So you can see in the markdown we are using the hash and all that, the asterisk, but you can see now in the front end it is italicized. It's not displaying those things. And then at the list we use the hyphens, and then now you can see it is this way. So this one I didn't format it well. That's why you can see this sub item should be in something else. But you can see for this one it is fine. For this the other one. So this is ordered list 1, 2, and then another list it uses the bullet. So remember that the markdown is not that completely advanced formatting editor. It usually want to make things simple, for basic formatting. It's not that detailed for. Now you can see now for markdown, you can see now the links. The links now you can see that part we said the link text, but now it's not displaying that second argument which was the link itself. Now it means that when I click on this one, it will take me to it should take me to name tag, but I don't want to go to name tag. But there at the moment it's not available to the public. We are still revamping. Next year I think it will be available. So remember I'm trying to make this site a one-stop site for all free tech courses and the premium materials. Like you can see at the moment the Explore AI team, for example, if you are unable to complete maybe the course, they can give you access to the platform. But here I want to make it public. All those material, the SQL material, the Excel, all that, I'll add detailed features here so that anyone can always access it. Now you can see the markdown for code. It is now displaying the code instead of those those 3 backtick. Then you can always copy the code and use it. So, and then you can see now we added the horizontal line. I don't know if you can see, but when you zoom in, you'll see something like a line. So to create a horizontal line, you use what? Hyphen. Just use three hyphens, and then for a table, that's the process. So I think, guys, you have a basic understanding on how you can use the Markdown. I think these are the main things that people usually work with it on the Markdown. Unless someone has a question on this one, because I want us to go to code straight away, or maybe if you can tell me if you have to reschedule the session. Let me get the feedback before I proceed. Am I in the meeting? Confirm. Yeah, it's fine. Hello, any feedback, or should we reschedule maybe to, or any question? You can hear me?
Nehemiah,
Yes, please.
I think I got lost only on the point where you got to this point of where you are doing the coding.
Oh, that part.
Did you create a new like a new, is it called repository or what?
This MD file that I've been editing.
Yeah.
So let me just copy first of all, and then I'll try to. Now, when you create a new repository, there's always an option for MD. MD stands for Markdown. So anything that you want to be displayed, let me try to go back. I want to go back until I see that part of the. Yeah. So where is it? Let me go back again. Yeah, this part. I was this part. So we added the repository name, then the accessibility to be public, and then so this is part of the README. So let me do this. Let me create another one. Let me say test 2. Then so for example, if I want to include the README, you can do it. You can do this. Click on that. Ensure that you click on that checkbox. Oh, this should be 3. And then so I will leave everything by default. And then by the way, I didn't talk about this git ignore. Now, for example, if you have sensitive files you don't want to be accessed easily, you can use the git ignore. It will ignore some certain file, so it won't display to the user. So you can always add the git ignore. For example, you added a sensitive file by mistake. For example, a JSON file that has the maybe the passwords and all that. You can do the git ignore so that it may ignore certain files with certain extension and all that. I think I shall talk about that one in details. And then after that, you just click on create a repository. So after you've created the repository, you'll see that because we included the README file, you'll see that it is available here. So when you click on this README, it will open that README file directory. So let me try to, I don't know, it's not clickable. Oh, sure, I have to edit. You click on this pen thing, edit file, to edit the file. When you click on it, and then you have the options to edit. Now, because I didn't want to repeat everything I copied, so I'll just paste it here. And then we say that this defines the headings: hash main heading, 2 hash subheading, 3 hash, like at the top is the highest. And then when you go to the hashes, then it goes in that hierarchy. Now, to emphasize, I say that I will use the asterisk to make it italic. Let me try to do this. How can I do this? Let me try to do that. And so we were here. I don't know if we are together there. We are together up to that point. If you have understood what we've just done to create the
It's good.
Yeah. So and then when you commit changes, now you can see now this is just a GUI, but in Visual Studio Code or maybe in Code Editor, we'll use the git commit. But now you can see you have the visual interface, the graphical interface where you can just click on things and then commit changes but we shall talk about this thing. Now you can see now it will be displayed here. So for example, if you have your files and then I want to display some things, let me go here. Let me go here to my profile. Let me try to access. So assuming that you are a user, this is how you can access that file. For example, what was it? Test2. Was it test something? Did I publish? I don't know, because I can't see here. I think I forgot to publish. I don't know if I published that. Let me go to this repository. Maybe it can display everything. Yeah, it's here. So now, for example, if you want to get this repository, you just click on it. And then, for example, if you have your code, it will be displayed there. But now you can see now the goodness of having the README, that markdown. People can just have a an overview of what it entails, the project entails. For example, you have the codes here. Then this README will help them understand what the project was all about and all that. You can always add now, because remember for me I use just a placeholder image. It's displaying now the alternative text. Now this is the advantage of using the alternative text. For example, this was an image for, let's say, a screenshot to display a certain visual, and then you can just use as an alternative text, and then we say the image for visualization, or maybe image for something. Make something descriptive for alternative text, so that in case in future that image is removed, that description will be displayed in the user to the front end, so that people can guess what kind of an image was there. Remember, this thing is detailed, but you wanted to make it brief for the sake of the video. And by the way, guys, I feel like I'm tired. Can we do the next? Can we do 2 mini sessions for this, or must we cover everything today? Let me get the feedback to you guys.
No. Nehemiah, I think we can do also 2.
Yeah, we can do 2.
So that we can absorb whatever you've taken us through.
Yes.
And then maybe in the next session now you can now show us how to redirect now to work on let's say like Visual Studio or the Git side.
Yeah, sure. Remember, Git is very, very for example, a topic on the basic Git commands. It's quite something. Also, there's something on a branching, and also there's something in regards to conflict issues. For example, you are collaborating with different people, and you are trying to modify. Let's say if it's a page, you are trying to if it's a web app, you are trying to maybe work on the cards. Different people are working on the cards. So usually Git track everything line by line, changes line by line. So for example, user 1 is making changes on line 1, and then user 2 is making changes on line 2. When they try to push to GitHub, then there'll be a conflict issue. So there are many things that we can address in GitHub, and I think it's a good idea maybe to do 2 sessions. I don't think if we are in a hurry. So I think I can do 2 videos. In the next time, I think I'll talk about now the code part. To talk about the commands like a git clone, status, add, git commit, git push, git pull, and also maybe to reset to initial commits and all that. So it's quite extensive, and I think it's a good idea. Maybe we stop here, unless someone has a question. Let me hear if someone has a question here on the basic part. So far today, we've covered the installation of Git, and also how to set up, how to create a GitHub account, and also how to work on how to create a repository via the GitHub, and also how to have talked about the MD, the Markdown file, how to include the Markdown file. And guys, this one is very important. In a project, when you push a project, ensure that always you have the Markdown file, because that is like an overview. You can tell people what the project entails, other than just pushing the project in the Git and forgetting it. So it's a good idea to understand also the Markdown, the README thing, and that people can understand what it means. Perhaps let me just push here, send here git should be mark down commands. Let me paste, and then I think you can practice with that as well, so that when we meet in our next session, maybe in future, you have the basic understanding of those markdown files. So anyone with a question? Is Eve present? I want to return it to the moderator, and I don't see people here. It seems I'm muted. I was talking and I'm muted. Who was the moderator? I think she left. Eve. So guys, I think we can, if there's no question, I think we can just disperse. Is there any question based on what I've covered? So that when we mix in our next session, it is just going straight away to the commands itself in the command line tool.